It's an exercise in better proportions. Okay, what you're about to see is actually me repurposing content from my channel. This bumper build series actually was a 4-part upload series that spanned literally a year. First upload went up in February 2023, and then the fourth and final went up in February of 2024. But I know some of you like to watch a project from its start to its end, and so that's what this is. I've merged all 4 of those uploads into one, cut out some fat along the way, and try to make it flow better as one entire upload. So if that's you, buckle in and get ready to watch. If not, I'm going to leave it in the description below each of the 4 individual uploads, so if you'd rather take it in chunks, you can do that as well. But either way, enjoy. But hey, if you're meeting me for the first time, I'm Grant Tommy. This is Straight Six Fan, your home for offbeat hot rodding. And yes, we are tucking the bumper on Lori G. Prix, my 1979 Pontiac Grand Prix. And I'm going to take you back to where this all started. Okay, actually I found the brackets, the bumper mounting brackets themselves, have enough play to get this up high enough to, I like where it sits up high. And I know this gap looks, it's still a little, I mean it's like a finger and a half of mine. That's okay because I want to suck this back. If I could match that all the way here, like, it's going to be a challenge to get far enough back, but I think we might be able to pull it off. And so let's just take a look here. It's about 7/8 of an inch gap. So right now we are 4 5/8. So let's do the math on that for a second. That means I need to go back like 3 7/8. Now I don't know if I'm going to get that, but I also want to get this flat spot of the bumper tucked up under the trunk lid. So taillights are a little proud of the trunk lid, so let's see here if I could go and get about 2 inches. So we'll still be like 1 inch and 1/8 down here, but I might be able to weld on like a little fin or something to the end of this and help close that up. Alright, so we're trying to remove these bumper shocks, and this top bolt, kind of hard to get to on the back side to get something to keep the nut from spinning. So you know what, a little hack here. I've got a distributor wrench. You know, like this is supposed to get under your distributor cap and tighten up the nut while you're clocking it for timing and whatnot. But anyway, it's working out great for me. So anyway, there's a little hack for you. So drill down a hole in the strut portion, right? So we can drain the oil, and then, well, I'll just show you how we get to here from here. Now that we have both bumper shocks out, cut, somewhat sectioned, we're gonna double check our measurements. We said we want to take 2 inches out of this, so we'll back that off. And then I'm gonna tack weld the piston to the casing. So here we are for a test fit, and man, it turned out good. Perfect distance. The 2 inches was the perfect distance back. Now, I regret that when I was at Chad's, I didn't cut these off of that bumper out there. So if I had a little more material of this return, I think I could just extend this. And I won't even need to bother with the filler panel, so I don't know, maybe I'll reach back out to him, maybe I'll have him send those my way, I don't know. And then it needs to come in just ever so slightly. And I think I take out about 3/4 of an inch material and suck it in this way. Well, the mock-up worked great. So I've got these shots in the right spot. The tack weld was perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld these up the rest of the way, and I'll show you exactly what the plan is after I get the second tack on the back side on the pistons, these things. We'll bring you in closer and I'll show you exactly what the ultimate plan is. Our next step now is we're going to drill a hole all the way through the casing, and we'll slide in like we'll find some old bolts or something, make like a pin, a shear pin situation, and then we'll weld that to the casing. So in the event this thing ever gets rear-ended, I'll still have at least an inch of play, but there'll be a little bit of resistance. You know, the force is going to have to exceed whatever that PSI is to break the shear. And again, it's not going to make it as safe as what it was from the factory, but it's definitely going to be safer than if we just weld it solid. Yeah, what I found laying around was, well, I got a plethora of these, because if you've ever shopped at IKEA more than 3 times, you'll have extra Allen wrenches of the exact same size. So that's going to be my pin. Alright, slapped some paint on those bumper brackets, but now it's time to move on to the bumper itself. And there's actually kind of like a substructure beneath here. So step 1 is we're going to start disassembling this. We're going to break it into the 2 pieces, and then we can start removing the bumper like rubber strips, and we can talk about sectioning this thing. You can see the structure here I've talked about, and there are nuts every so often, and I thought maybe I would absolutely have to pull off the bumper strip, but as you can see, they have like this flat head, almost like a rivet, so I'm guessing it's like a square hole that keeps it from moving. So we'll just back off the nuts, and should be able to get this structure off, except for I shoot that guy off, and then this, the quick clip got sheared off, so this one's struggling to back out because it's not grabbing on anything. So I still got to get this one out, but I should be able to remove this after I navigate that. Alright, quick review. Here's where we're at. Of course, we got the rubber bumper protectors off, and there's the hole that we knew we had for the longest time. You can see just all the little surface rust issues, as well as I found some really thin areas over here and went ahead and punched those through. But it's okay, because I think where we're going to section out of the bumper is exactly there. That way we can keep the whole turn signal surround size the same. This is a straight part of the bumper. You can see it probably starts to bend right there. So somewhere in here. So we'll take out, like, it's a little over 3/4 of an inch, but we'll try to keep it at that. May have to use some filler rod, and we'll come in over here and do the same right at this point. First things first, let's get to marking out our section cut. so here we are after cutting out the slivers of both sides, and passenger side turned out much better than the driver's side. The driver's side we were kind of forced to cut where we cut because of the rust spots, but I got a pretty good fitment just naturally. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to like tack weld on the crowns of the curves so we can make sure those, you know, are continuous. You see this one's off a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be a little trickier on the driver's side because, yeah, but I'm not too worried about it because again, if we like tack weld on the crowns, I feel like just with heat and stuff, I can bend this, flare this out, get these two to line up. Not super worried about it, but and again, this is the first time I've done this, so I'm gonna learn lessons. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's the perfect opportunity to do what I'm doing because, you know, we're trying to do things, kill two birds with one stone, right? We had this, you can actually still see where there's some of that material that was just so weak. So we'll be doing some filler patches there and filler patch for this. We're trying to get better at how to use filler rod with the TIG welder. So let's just get right into it and let's just start trying to weld this fully up. Alright, so keep in mind, amateur TIG welder here. Definitely have some areas of porosity. So probably just didn't have my surface prepped well enough. So we're going to hit it with the grinder. We're going to see exactly where all the pinholes exist. Come back and we'll hit it again with some more TIG weld and filler rod and see if we can't improve on that. But it's otherwise all the way, welded all the way. And as far as penetration goes, some areas better than others, and I think maybe porosity may have been in part to how bad the material was on the back side of the bumper, but yeah, it's like I said, the only way we get better is if we try, right? And this is me trying. Well, I gave it a try. I tried, you know, getting filler rod in where the pinholes were. Seemed to just create more. So there's still some imperfections in here, but it's ground down pretty good. I think what I'm going to end up doing is, because I'm going to have to remove the chrome off of the whole bumper anyway, so whether I get it sandblasted or what. Maybe I'm going to, I think I'll have it sandblasted, and then I'm going to just hit it with like Bondo to fill in these tiny imperfections. And then I think we're going to get it like, and I'll put it in primer and then either rattle can it or might get it, I don't know, might get it vinyl wrapped if they have it vinyl wrapped for chrome. Driver said it's going to be more challenging because if you recall there was the thin spots from rust. So I may just like weld it up to here, weld it down to here, and then just come in here and clean out like a groove, seeing where we end up. All right, as you saw there, we got both sides welded together. Now we still have to fight that one rust area, but we filed that down and we squared it out. I did blow through some metal. There's a pinhole right in there. I still need to fix this hole, and I need to fill the holes that the bumperette's plugged into. But it's time to do another round of mock-ups because I kind of have a slight change in plans of what I'm going to do on the return side of the bumper. But first things first, you have to get this inner structure bolted back in so we can do our mock-up. I do have the collapsed bumper shocks in place, so that's good. Yeah, let's just, it's time to stop talking and start doing. Well, so I laid the inner structure and then I was thinking, why doesn't it want to lay flush? Obviously, because I sectioned this I'm off a little bit on the studs. Actually, these are in the right spot. It's end ones. I've got to wire up these holes so the studs can slam through. So we'll pull it back out, widen these, and we'll put this back together. Got the bumper mocked up. Looks great on the side to side. That 1.5 inches I took out is about perfect. Only thing, we still have these ear horns on the side that I'm kicking myself for not cutting off those ends from that bumper out at Chad's. I just can't justify another trip out there. It's about, these days it's about a $50 investment in gas. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is making some sort of a little fin that comes off of the back of this, and just kind of, that way this gap stays consistent. The other thought, because I don't want this to look like an afterthought, even though it kind of is I'm thinking about maybe taking the turn signals and letting them live in here. That way, and then I'll fill this out, smooth this out. That way it's like this piece has a purpose. Or I might cut some sort of design into it. I don't know. We'll see. I'll kind of make it up as I go along, but I need to get this measurement to know exactly what size of fin I need to make. Well, it's too cool to leave the door open, but yeah, so there it is. There's my little filler piece template, and I don't know, I'm going back and forth on, like, I just feel like the flat piece of metal would be too bland. So that's where I'm thinking if I could cut some sort of design into here. And I'm going back and forth on the turn signal idea, I don't know. But yeah, I was kind of thinking, like, if I could find a nice thin LED, I could go vertical in there. That might be a nice touch, but I think part 2 went up in mid-March, and we're standing on the threshold of tucking, stretching this bumper for quite some time now, and I have been working on it in the background. So let me get you caught up on what I've done to get you to this point in time. Okay, well, first off, what we've done since part 2 is we cut out a bigger chunk where the blinker used to be, or I guess actually it's just the side marker lights, and there were also these for the bumper strip, these little notches, so we made it like a bigger cutout, just rectangle cutout, filled it in on both sides. We also got the bumper sandblasted to get rid of that chrome finish to make things easier. And then, of course, throughout the whole body of the bumper, we had different sections, different chunks that just had pinholes everywhere, just thin metal. So we ended up with one patch panel up here, one down here, one here, and then we had just one little piece where the bumperette would go here. So we filled that in as well. Also, part 2, I was trying to figure out how to extend this portion of the bumper and what felt right, and I finally just landed on. We just built sort of a loop extension, and I bought some perforated metal that goes in here. It's our new side marker lights will go in this area as well. And then lastly, what we got here is we sprayed the backside of the bumper with PUR15's rubberized undercoating, and I think it turned out real good. But again, just you can kind of get a sense for where some of those patch panels were, and you can also kind of see what I was battling. This is, you know, thin metal everywhere. We had some surface rust like that, but I think we have this adequately prepped and protected now. So now is this going to last 40 years? Probably not, but I think we got a good solid, you know, 5 to 10 years of protection. And yeah, so what does that leave us with? Today, I think what we're going to do is start to do prep work to get this ready for paint. Let me bring you up to speed on where we're at on the bumper. So it is turn of January into February, and we strung together some pretty good weather days where it was over 50 degrees, where I could leave the vehicles out of the garage and take up my bay to put up my little paint booth and everything. And I finally got a really nice coat on the bumper, but then when I was clear coating it, I had some runs in the clear coat, and we just really messed up some areas. So I taped off these 3 sections, I made some windows, we sanded them down, we repainted them. So I'm curious to see when we're going to pull this all off, and we're going to see how well it blends or didn't. Alright, there's definitely some ghosting going on, but I think we can blend that with some whole wet sand it. It's the thought process there. Did get now, one of the things I struggled this whole time, I have this bumper sandblasted, but it didn't really remove a ton of the chrome finish that was on it. I've always been fighting that, and what adheres and what doesn't, and what primed and what didn't. So it looks like we peeled some paint off, and it looks like, you know, there's chrome right behind it. Good news is our bumper strip is going to cover that up, but I'll probably still touch it up with some paint here. Alright, well, here's the unfortunate part was, despite my best efforts, I did blend. I did do a good job blending, getting rid of that line with the wet sanding, but I just had thin paint, and that was my problem before. You know, when the clear coat got too heavy, it made the thin paint bubble up. So then I tried to touch it up, and as you can see, we still uncovered those same issues. So I'm so sick of painting and sanding and painting and sanding. I'm painting some more. Same thing over here. But I do think my only best bet now is to just go ahead and mask it all off, like maybe from this edge, and repaint the whole bottom portion. Because I mean, That's what sucks, is because otherwise I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I mean, this top portion is so nice and well done. Alright, well that turned out to be an okay endeavor. There's still some funk down here, but compared to where it was, I'm done messing with it, and that looks good. This side turned out, I mean, actually really good. I mean, you can still kind of see there's something going on in there. I don't know if that was one of the bumperette fill spots, but this is all it's been about. Let's make this car look better than it was when I got it, and I'm certainly still in that category. And at the end of the day, right, we were using like farm and home store propane tank paint and propane tank paint. So all things considered, for as cheap as this paint was, I feel like this is a pretty good looking bumper, and sure beats all of the pinhole rust issue we had. There were definitely some thin spots on the bumper, so we're gonna let this dry. I bought some, it's over there on my floor jack, pipe insulation that I'm going to wrap my stand in. That way I can flip this thing over and we can start installing the inner bumper structure. Alright, while we wait for my bumper to dry, I ended up, well, first off, this is one of like the most valuable tools I have in the shop. So this little thread chaser I bought on Amazon. I'll try to leave a link in the description below to this guy, because it's super handy. Chase the threads on all of the fasteners for the bumper, and we went ahead and we've doused them in penetrating oil here too. So we'll let those soak overnight. And then I'm going to tape these guys to the inner bumper structure because they love to just fall out. But yeah, we'll tape down that bracket. These little rosettes, probably hard to see, that go on the face of the bumper. They appear to have blue Loctite on them, so we should probably be doing that before we sync everything up, which makes some sense, right? There's a lot of vibration going on in the bumper, but yeah, just for ease of install, we put penetrating oil, soak them all in penetrating oil, and anyway, we'll get these all hand threaded on, and we gotta be strategic about which ones we tighten down first and when, because when we section this bumper, the structure takes on just a slightly different shape. Okay, we're back. It's a Friday night actually. I'm out here, and yes, fresh haircut. But we got the inner bumper structure all Loctite in and everything. So now it's on to figuring out how I want to do my side marker screens, little extensions I built in the perforated metal. I've struggled with what I want to do here for quite some time. Thought about TIG welding it. I just felt like I was going to burn through the perforated metal. Problem is, can't really get a good angle with a screw gun to like screw in. I thought about using self-tapping screws, so I think I'm gonna do JB Weld, but I would love to at least get, I don't know, man, if I could just get a self-tapping screw like in the bottom, because you know, if the JB Weld fails and these things start flapping around, I'd love to make sure that something's holding it in as I go down the road. But yeah, we're just continuing to try to think through ideas. Okay, the JB Weld says it wants to cure for 4 to 6 hours, so and also the good news is, the reason why I don't feel that bad about doing the JB Weld, these were a pretty good friction fit as it was. This side, we got a couple more clamp action, but so we'll let those set up. So in the meantime, we're gonna jump over to our rubber protective strips, and 2 things. These clips it came off in the process, so we're gonna put them back on where they're most appropriate. This is the top one. We also need to clean the back side of this because I've got that 3M double sticky tape. All right, really looking at it mocked up, I think honestly the clips are going to do the majority of the work. So I don't know if I really need to worry about cleaning the whole back side of it, but obviously when we turn the corner, this is going to be hard for this to stay in place. So we definitely want this to be clean. So we're going to do that, and that's where we're going to do double-sided sticky tape. And I mean, lining it up with the center, it looks pretty balanced, and we're hitting everything. I mean, I think it's going to flatten out nice. Or as Deb would say on Napoleon Dynamite, I think it's going to turn out real nice. Alright, what I learned after the fact is, like through here, since I didn't have one of those slots line up perfectly, we need some double sticky tape in here. So we will slap some on in this section before we do this side. But yeah, no, it's gonna, you can see I kind of did it after the fact. I need to trim that up. But yeah, we'll get this, we'll keep going, we'll keep plugging away. It's actually kind of fun. It's tedious, but it's fun, and I think it's actually gonna, I know this is kind of dorky and kind of stockish, but I actually think it's gonna look pretty cool when it's all done. So here's a closer look, right? So we've got the tabs there, and you can see where this one doesn't quite line up with the hole. So we gotta trim that off, like carve that off, flesh it out, and then yeah, that's where we want to put our double sticky tape so we can follow the contour tighter on this side. Alright, so we got my scissor stand set up about the right height. Went ahead and started the brackets over there to hold it in place because I wanted to roll over. But first things first, what we gotta work through is our wire management. So our backup lights, we want to snake those through first, which we have. We have lightly got my trailer light, side marker lights on. I'm gonna Loctite those before we tighten them down, but then just lightly, then we're stringing the rest of the wire loom through this lip of the bumper. And it looks like, because again, you know, when you take these things apart like months ago, these little, got some clips that we can clip things up and kind of hold them in place, so that's nice. But yeah, we gotta think through a little bit on the passenger side, I believe we want to bring our reverse light through the end of the inner bumper structure. There's a little bit of room to snake around here, through, and then back this way. So I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod, and we'll try to get this sorted out. And then, honestly, from there, it's just a matter of adding shims and tightening everything down. Okay, so one of the things we've learned through all this time, doing mock-ups and whatnot, is my wings like to droop like that when you install it. So we took these bumper shims that were always on the car, we took them and we buzzed one in half. So we will slide these in on the top of the bracket. So the bracket has like mounting post. We'll see if I can get in there. It has like 4 studs on it. So we'll slide it in just on the top row, and that should help us tilt it in such a way that it'll be level. So anyway, that's our next step. We just gotta hang this bumper, and then we can throw in our reverse lights too. But I gotta say, you know, the cheap propane tank aluminum, actually it looks pretty sharp. I feel like it turned out really well, and I don't know, I'm really pleased with the results, especially from this distance. This is the first time I'm shooting with this camera, and while the time-lapse function was very similar to my old Canon camera, apparently I failed at that. So I thought I had a time-lapse of me putting this thing on, but let's get a real up-close look and figure out just exactly where we got. After we finally got the bumper hung, the last thing left then was our reverse lights. I went to the auto parts store, bought some new bulbs, and then we even cleaned our lenses. But what I found out was apparently in removal, I delaminated the cover from the surround. I figured our fasteners would be enough to keep the lens on, but the holes are bigger for the lens, so we got to figure out how to probably epoxy these things back together. But you know what, at some point I gotta start editing this video. We got a lot of work to capture, so I think we'll save this for another day, and hopefully you've enjoyed this. Gosh, it looks so much better. I mean, from like the straight on, like every day I open the garage door and roll up in the driveway and I see this like much more form-fitted feature. Man, I just love it. It makes the car look so much more sporty from the back, especially when you see the width of the 245 tires on our Corvette wheels. But hey, like I said, we got into somewhere. That's gonna do it for this episode. To all my 6 fans out there, thanks for watching.